Forever. Dog.
Welcome to The Chop with Latrice and Manila,
where we give you the weekly recap and rundown of our favorite movies. Who's on top?
And who gets the chop?
Woo!
Manila.
Latrice Royale.
I'm feeling extra glamorous tonight.
Giving everything you got, trying to make it to the top. Never ever gonna stop, even if you get the chop, 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 chop. Girl, you got the chop.
Don't be a bitter bitch. Just make them eat it, honey.
Let's chop it up, Latrice!
Girl, welcome back to our Chop Movie Club. I'm excited about this week because we are doing the cult classic film, Mommie Dearest, from 1981. Were you born, Manila?
Do you want my actual birth date or do you want my TV birth date?
You have two birthdays too?
I have three, depending on what country I'm in, honey. I have a different birthday for one. No, actually, yeah, this is the year I was born. For those of you who want my birth date so that they can hack into my checking account online.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I was alive when this movie came out, but I was not old enough to be conscious or understand human language or what the fuck,
what was going on?
Yeah, exactly. But this is a legendary movie that I have since watched several times. Once again last night, just for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And girl, this movie is good.
Girl, this is back when they were really acting and taking their time with scenes and just giving you all the drama through facials and expression. And, it was full out. And long. It was over 2 hours.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Although I watched it and I kind of, it's like one of those movies that you just kind of like, once you get into the zone, yeah, it's good. Also, you're also like waiting for the next like big major scene so that you can recite all the
lyrics, bitch. All the lyrics. Because we be lip syncing and we made us an old mix, honey, old mega mix. But this cast of Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford. You have Mara Hobel as the young Christina, and then Diana Scarwood as the older Christina. And we kind of looked up the girls to see what they had done and been doing since then, and not much. So
I mean, after you play Christina in Mommie Dearest, there isn't much more that you need to do as an actress. I mean, like, she probably was like, hey, so filming this movie, I got slapped by Faye Dunaway 740 times while filming. I think I'm good.
I'm good. I've lived.
Okay, so when I first watched this, I was younger, so I was watching it and I was horrified by the story. But now watching it, I realized as an adult that this is actually, the movie's based on the book, which was written by Christina Crawford.
Correct.
The daughter in this film and in real life, the real life daughter of Joan Crawford. So this is like a tell-all book from Joan Crawford's daughter's point of view. So I feel like watching it this time, I was keeping that in mind. So I had a very skewed version of the movie this time around.
Oh yeah. Now that I'm real grown and real aware of what mental illness is, and
alcoholism,
substance abuse and child abuse,
and as a successful, famous drag queen with fans, I can relate to it on a completely different level that I had ever imagined. Because like, the industry that we are in, despite the fact that we are very, very, very far from what Joan Crawford was in the golden age of cinema, I have an understanding from like how a lot of this can drive you fucking mad.
Yeah. Completely.
And how sometimes you can take it out on the people closest to you.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because it is a lot of pressure, but girl, she needs some 5Gs all day. Like, for real, honey, she was unstable Mabel.
Okay, this is crazy. So for those of you who are not familiar with the story of Mommie Dearest, it is Joan Crawford, who is a very, very real, famous Hollywood actress from the 1940s. She couldn't have children. And she had been, she's a famous Hollywood actress. So she had been married several times. And she decided that she would like to fulfill her life as a woman because she had it all. She was a successful woman, a famous actress, and now the only thing is she didn't really have children, so she wanted to adopt children. So she adopted Christina, first of her adopted children, and maybe she could have maybe read a couple books on parenting beforehand, or
I mean, it was a different time, girl. Like, it just wasn't there, I don't think.
She was a very strict mother. She had she understood how privileged she was raising her daughters. So she was very strict on she wouldn't let her child have she would they had a big birthday party. She got birthday presents from all the people, from fans and from the famous people or whatever, but she was only allowed to keep one present. And the rest were donated to the orphanage of children where Christina was coming from. So it was looking back at it, I was like, I understand what Joan Crawford was doing.
She was trying to teach her some values and to understand that she is coming from a privileged life, and her little counterparts are not. They're not so fortunate. They're still in the orphanage. They don't have homes. They don't have money. They don't have a family. And so, yeah, she's teaching them, some family values and the gift of giving and the joy of giving, which I can stand by. But
and yes, and we got to remember that this is the story told from Christina's point of view. So as a little girl, she has this big birthday party. She doesn't get it. So all she remembers is that my mother, who was rich and famous, and we got all the presents, and she only let me keep one.
Yeah.
And then she made me give them away to these orphan children.
How mean.
So there's a total two sides of the story, and as a viewer, it makes for some delicious drama, right?
It really does. It really does.
So we have this whole story of the dynamic of what it's like for Joan Crawford to slowly going mad and trying everything she can as she becomes an aging actress in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And she does take a lot of her frustrations out in front of her children while she's at home, Yeah. So it's tormenting to watch.
It really is. And to have a parent that off kilter is gotta be tough. On a kid not knowing which way the wind was gonna blow and when she's gonna pop off, because she had extreme fits. She was either putting on airs of being fabulous and happy.
Yes, the perfect life for the cameras and for the fans to see. And then it would switch.
Baby, it was hell. Just pure hell.
Getting drunk, passed out, taking her frustrations out. And I mean, honestly, so there's this famous scene in the movie where she is in the rose garden and she's just with the shears and she's just hacking up everything in the middle of the night. I forget the scene because it's taken out of context. It's such an iconic scene, right? But I watched it in context of the scene before she just got fired from the studio.
She just got let go. Exactly. So she's like, oh, royalty. Yeah, royalty. Mm-hmm. This is how you treat your Hollywood royalty. And she flips.
She flipped. She was like, could you just be nice and walk me to my car so we know that we're on good terms? And there's he just stands there, looks at her.
And looks at her.
Honestly, watching this back and realizing that this is in the 1940s, she's a woman. So equal rights is very much not a thing as much right then. So she's already got the cards stacked against her. So she's taking it out in this flower garden that night. And the maid wakes up the children. She's like, your mother's asking for you.
Oh now, my God.
In the beginning, I'm like, oh, I get this. You just got fired. You're just taking your frustrations out in a physical manner. You need to get it out somewhere.
I guess.
She's hacking it up, but exposing the children to it. And
that famous line comes from this scene right here when she's out here. She didn't cut with the shears all she can. She's cutting all the rose bushes, and then she's just like, Christina, bring me the axe. Oh, girl, it got serious, honey.
Oh, and then first of all, this actress that's playing the young Christina, she's so good because you
She's
can
really
see
good.
all the fear and worry and whatever. She's like, she gets woken up in the middle of the night. Her mother's screaming and cutting up all the things, and you're just like, what is going on? And she's like, bring me the axe. And she's like chopping this tree down just to get out her frustrations. Like the tree's already knocked over and she's still trying to hack at it. And here's little baby Christina looking at this like,
Just
what the
like,
fuck is
what
going
is
on
going
with
on?
Mom? I can't really relate because my parents, they barely drink alcohol. So they're not like getting crazy drunk. But I can imagine what it would be like to be in a family where your parents are under the influence and, you know, having like a breakdown of some sort and having to witness it.
Horrible.
Obviously, it affected Miss Christina a lot because she went and wrote a book and they made it into a movie.
Well, yeah. There's some things we'll get into about that too, because there's a lot of discussion and about whether, you know, this movie portrayed an accurate
portrayal of what really happened.
Yeah, what went down. So there's some controversy, but you know, I feel like Christina's the only one she's outlived everybody. She'd outlived the whole family, and like she was there. So I'm gonna have to take her word for it. Why would she make all this shit up? Like, I know she was mad she was cut out the wheel, but still, like, she was holding it and, you know, to protect her family and her mom. But then when she was shown, I'll show you. But anyway, we'll get all to that. Let's take a little short break.
Oh, yes.
It's getting juicy.
Down.
I know. It's just,
okay. Christina, bring me my drink. This movie's so campy.
It puts the cat in camp, girl.
Because I guess, like, the funny thing is, like, they do a really accurate job of portraying, like, old Hollywood 1940s golden age movies because it kind of takes place in that era. But it's a movie from the 80s, which in itself, it's its own version of extra.
It was the height of camp. Like, everything was drama and soap operas in the 80s. Like, you know, you had those shows like Dallas and Dynasty and, you know, shit like that. That was like we lived for.
And shoulder pads. It was almost like
shoulder pads.
It was almost like a competition of who, like, what era has the bigger shoulder pads.
We were just talking about that, but
yeah, that's why I'm wearing shoulder pads today. Yeah,
they're lovely, gal.
Do you think that this movie was trying to be a serious drama, or because
I think it was, girl. I think they thought they were really trying to get the like Academy Award, and boo, it was not that. In fact, it didn't get like very good reviews.
See, I was a baby, so I don't remember the reviews of it.
It was.
Nowadays, it's like a cult classic. I mean, drag queens will cut out the monologues,
baby,
and they'll insert them into their Drag Race mixes. Now, all of those. Wait, who has done Joan Crawford on RuPaul's Drag Race? It was Mariah.
Successfully?
No, general.
Okay, yeah, Mariah did her
season 3.
Her rendition of it.
Yes. Because the famous line is "no wire hangers ever."
It's wooden.
She had a wood one.
It's wooden. Girl.
Wooden. But there have been drag queens that do the lip sync in, like, I've seen queens win pageants.
Oh yeah, Christina Kelly had a mix that was outrageous, and she had a puppet as Christina. Baby. And poor little Christina would get it, baby, with that hanger, honey. She would. And then they were overdubbed, you know, I will always beat you. I will always beat you.
I will always beat you.
Oh, they would like do it like a clip.
They're looping.
See, like, That's like, okay, I don't know if I have seen like the original, because you know in the pageant scene, like one girl will do it on the DVD and then you'll see it in all the little local pageants.
Yeah.
I always saw the one where she like brings out she sings "My Life." It is my life.
Yes.
And she brings out the Pepsi Cola.
Yes. Who made it really super successful and famous in the pageant world? God bless her. Is Erica Andrews, Roxy's mama. That was the epitome of. She did Joan Crawford like, baby, like you did not want it, honey. She was so sickening. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
she turned
I know, because she was like one of the first Joan Crawford impersonations I saw in drag that did it so well, because she got the glamour part of Joan Crawford in the Hollywood. Like she looked so good.
I mean,
and then she got the camp of the movie because she was such an expressive performer.
Yeah.
And yes, I remember hers. What Erica Andrews had the best. I remember
the best. Yeah.
Okay, and then everyone else I just felt like was like
trying to
like
do that.
Yeah, because here's the deal. Like, you know, the queens are doing an impersonation of the other queen doing the impersonation of Faye Dunaway doing the impersonation of Joan Crawford.
That's exactly how it went down.
Well, I would, after watching this movie, I would love to see another version of Joan Crawford on the Snatch Game. Or even better, Christina Crawford on the Snatch Game.
There you go.
You
know,
know,
I mean, you can make her funny.
She could get more beat up as the...
Exactly. She had black eyes and hanger whelp marks. And...
All right. Queens auditioning for the next season of Drag Race. There's your idea.
But, like, this is the other thing that was quite interesting. I found it. Little Christina had a lot of uncles, did she not? Uncle so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so. Now, I do recall when I was younger, I had a few uncles, too.
Oh.
I didn't know who I was calling them uncle. But now I do.
I don't have children, so I wouldn't know how I would introduce the person you're dating.
Well, your parents are still together. So,
yes, they are.
Yeah,
yes,
mine were not, and so Shirley still had to get it in.
But we did have uncles who were technically not related to us. I'm just assuming that was like the proper version of what they would.
Just
but I don't know.
Your elders.
I do not know my parents' love life.
Lucky you.
lucky me, I guess.
Yeah.
No, they were like proper Minnesotans that kept it all to themselves. Bundled up in the cold somewhere in some cold cabin.
Well, things have been revealed since I've been an adult. I'm just saying.
I think it's pretty funny because throughout the movie, I noticed that Christina was always, kind of like emulating her mother in some way.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why she was so very defiant, I thought. Like when she refused to eat the raw meat.
I mean...
Or the rare meat.
It was raw, bitch. I saw a plate full of blood. I was like, I'm with Christina on this one. I like a medium rare, but baby, that was mooing.
I feel the same way because my father would always cook our steak rare and he would always make me eat it. And I really honestly really related to, I think that I've actually experienced some form of that scene where I sat there, I was like, I'm not moving.
I'll just sit here then.
Well, I don't blame Christina because she has a strong mother, and if she's the only one, you know what I mean?
Well,
and she's always like, why is it always gotta be a competition? Even though she was racing her in the beginning and always beating her. So you kind of do set yourself up if you compete with your child that a child will eventually want to.
Well, one of her famous lines was that she told Christina when she won the race, she was like, but no one ever said life was fair, Christina. I'm bigger and faster. I will always beat you. Beat you.
Beat you. Beat you. Beat you.
Beat you.
Yes, because then we have that iconic scene where she comes in looking like a Horror Story monster because she's got the mud mask.
Oh my God.
She walks in. No,
Girl.
I feel for Christina because I had a messy room and my mother would come in and kind of inspect things and she would put things back. So I always kind of felt guilty when my mother would come in and she would sort my mess.
Yeah.
My mother would never like beat me with the hangers because my mom didn't give a shit, because my mom would always just keep whatever hanger came free with the dry cleaner.
Okay.
But we didn't live the Joan Crawford life where she was
not.
like all in that is excess $300 on a wire hanger.
I mean, I'm not saying my mother was a Mommie Dearest, but I had been woken up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, when my mom would get home from work from her second job, and the kitchen was like half-ass cleaned, and I was supposed to clean the kitchen before I went to bed and do my homework and all that. She would pull every dish out of the cabinet, clean, dirty, whatever, every dish in the kitchen, wake me up and make me wash them at 3:30 in the morning before, and then I still had to go to school.
Wow.
So like if you want to call it Joan Crawford moment, I understand it, but like, yeah, Shirley didn't play either. Like when she said clean her kitchen. So, I get her. I can relate to some of Joan Crawford's tactics, but some of it was a little bit overboard. It was
a lot overboard. But yes, I agree with you because like, you know, like my parents had a very different approach to like what we consider proper parenting these days. Like, you know, like now it's very controversial to spank your children.
You can't even spank your child.
No, but like back in my day, my mother would spank me.
Baby.
When I was bad. And I thought I was slick sometimes because we'd be in public and she'd be like,
oh yeah,
wait till we get home.
Wait till we get home. And
then
she forget.
And then I was good for the rest of the day. And then when we got home, she didn't forget.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
So now I'm seeing this movie from both sides, and it's actually like such a even better film now to me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because she do beat that child real hard with that wire hanger because she was going crazy in the middle of the night.
I mean, she flipped the fuck out. First of all, like this woman is really, before we had the OCC diagnoses, this is what she was. And she was a germaphobe. And like she had so many things that were like isms, you know?
Yeah.
And she would flip all the way out, like completely bipolar, because the opening thing, she set the standard when they were cleaning the house and she went to inspect and the woman didn't move the pot. She said, "I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the dirt." Girl.
Yeah, and then she gets on her hands and knees and she's doing it herself, right? Oh, the opening is that she's actually cleaning herself.
She's cleaning herself.
Which I thought was a beautiful scene because, you know, like in Hollywood, you just assume that they just sit there while they're filing their nails or getting their nails filed by someone else.
Yeah.
But no, she was like hands-on, like...
Because you're a control freak.
Control freak.
That's what that was.
Also, but it was like, it also kind of like started to show that like it was a form of her dealing with whatever mental issues she was going through. Like she might not have had control over being fired from the studio. She might not have control over, I can't afford to send my daughter to boarding school anymore. Like, but she does have the control to get on her hands and knees and like clean something until she like can get the aggression out.
She has the control to decide whether or not these rose bushes are going to live or die. Those poor roses didn't do a damn thing to her, but she killed them all, honey. Killed them all.
I feel like sometimes I'll have like a control freak moment too, because like, you know, a lot of as a drag queen, we got to do a lot of stuff ourselves, especially these days with like having to hook up my ring light and figure out what cord this goes into that.
You saw me today. I was a mess.
Yes,
so
right?
We have those moments, girl.
I made my husband watch it for the very first time. He's never seen it. Right?
Really?
So, yes, it's very interesting. And like, he is experiencing this, I feel like, more from the Christina side because he's living with the drama queen in the house. you know, who has to has to worry about how she looks good for the reporters. And
oh my God. Poor Michael. Oh my God, he's living with a modern day Joan Crawford.
I know.
Oh my.
So I want to talk more about that right after this break, okay, Latrice? Well, we're back. Okay. My husband, like, we're literally during break, my husband walks in like, are you talking about me?
Oh yes. We're gonna set up a little support group for him.
Well, there is. We can watch all the Queen's Men on Wow Presents
true.
Plus.
They
Right?
do have a support group, don't they?
all the drag husbands have their very own show on Wow Presents Plus, and that's really fun to watch.
That is so great.
Yeah, so my husband's watching this, and he's like, you know, like, he didn't have the best childhood growing up either. Like, you know, his parents are doing the best they could as, you know, whatever, but he was like, oh my God, this poor girl, this poor girl.
I mean, I felt bad for her. And like, you know, Christina she doesn't have any friends. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see her playing with anybody. She has a little brother who has to be strapped in at night. I never got the full understanding of that. Did he sleepwalk or roll out of bed or something? Like, but he was tied down at night.
Maybe the book will go further into the details about that.
Mm-hmm,
There's a lot of stuff they don't explain. She also has 2 other adopted siblings
that we never see.
That they just kind of leave out of the story because they don't really, like, you know, further the plot line, I guess, very much for the movie.
True.
So I guess, like, Christopher kind of just represents all the other children, you know?
Okay. Well, I guess, you know, little Tina had walked in and saw, you know, her mom and her uncle having a moment. And another thing, what 10-year-old do you know bartends better than a bartender? Like, she should not know how to pour scotch and vodka and, you know.
See, I think that's part of the story, though. It's because, you know, like, that's how she's always like, that's what was around her house. Like, her mother would fix her gentleman callers drinks. So, like, there was no getting around the fact that she had children. So somehow the family was kind of involved. And I feel like these aren't like first time meetings. Like, these are uncles, you know what I mean?
Well,
so by the time they showed this part, like, you know, Christina has a little bit of a sway in her hip. You know, she's emulating her mother. She's picking up on things. She's picking up on the way of, like, flirting and whatever. Like, that scene definitely kind of, like, highlights that moment where she's, like, a little girl, but figuring out, like, how to interact with men.
Mm-hmm.
From what she's learned from her own mother.
Mom. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly. Well, of course, Joan picks up on this, and she's not favorable of it, and she ships little Christina off to boarding school.
And Christina's, like, crying. Like, don't say, I'll promise I'll be good.
Poor thing. So she goes to boarding school. She's there, and then she finally comes home. When we see her again, she's like a teenager. She's like basically like 16 or so, I would say 16, 17.
Yeah. This is like, she had gotten in trouble at school because she was kind of like kissing with some boy, and she, you know, they had like, and so her mother came back and she was furious. She
reads the dean or whoever the head of the school is, honey. She let her have it, honey.
What are you running, a children's brothel?
She said,
here's the real tea, though. Like, I picked up on this time, like, the scene before she gets in trouble. Her mother is talking about, like, something about with money. She's having money issues.
Yeah.
So here's what I figured out is that, like, she used that as the perfect excuse to stop paying for school because she was making Christina do work programs to study, work scholarship programs, and making her work because she couldn't afford to pay off the tuition.
So she was on a work scholarship and working in the stable.
So then what ends up happening is that this came at the perfect time so that she could take her out of the school and stop paying for this expensive boarding school. Mind you, this is like back in the olden days where rich kids would be sent to boarding schools. It's a little bit more of an old way of doing like things. We don't do that as much anymore.
No.
But it might have been a little bit more popular back then for adults to send their children to boarding schools.
Of course.
At least rich people to send their kids.
When you can't deal with your kids, you send them away to boarding school. And then she gets caught kissing the boy and then expelled. Joan flips, reads everybody.
She didn't get expelled. That's a lie.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. She comes home. There's a reporter in the house that's doing an interview with Joan Crawford as the daughter's there. And the daughter kind of lets it slip that she was not expelled. Because she was asking about like her schoolwork and whatever, and
and Joan was like, she's got expelled from school. That's a lie.
Oh, she was mad.
She was mad and was not going to stand there and take that.
Joan Crawford was trying so hard to keep up appearances for the reporter. But in real life, she was having problems with her daughter and school and money and
men and jobs, and her whole entire life was upside down.
And she had to go pick up Christina like in the middle of this like interview and deal with this stuff. And now the cat's out of the bag and she is taking it out on Christina. Why can't you give me the respect that any person on the street would give me?
Close.
Almost.
But what led to that was because Christina was like, why did you adopt me? I want to know. Don't act for me. Don't give me the, I wanted a child to love bullshit. She's like, why did you adopt me? And that's when it was like, all hell broke loose. I don't ask much from you, girl.
Oh no, but first she lets it slip because this is also another thing. Joan Crawford's an actress, so half the time we don't know if she's acting or she's being serious.
And she did let it slip. She goes, well, maybe a little publicity.
Maybe for publicity. No, that's a lie. I didn't mean that. I didn't say that. No, don't say that. No, I didn't say that.
And Christina was like, no, maybe a little bit true. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well, honey, they wound up, after Christina said, I am
each other?
not one of your fans. That look. There it is.
Faye Dunaway, just full on acting. They have all the lighting, soft filters. They'll pull in the camera. She starts, you see in her eyes, her slowly going crazy. And then all of a sudden she can't contain it anymore. Reaches out, lunges for Christina's neck, beats her to the floor, starts like full
strangling her.
Full on 1980s wrestling ring, WWE fighting, like full on choreo.
This is where we get Barbara, please, Barbara. It was so good, but ultimately that fight is where like it gets like Christina gets sent away again. Like, I didn't think it can get any worse.
Yeah, but she goes now to like fucking Catholic school.
A convent, girl.
A convent. So when Christina grows up, she has not gotten any help from her mother. So she's trying to make it on her own. She's got her own little tiny apartment and she's auditioning. And her mother, her mother has been trying to be a little bit more polite about, not whatever. So she's like, oh, tell us how you are doing in your little stock theater, blah, blah, blah. But the real thing is that eventually Christina Crawford, she gets a part on a soap opera.
Right.
And you can tell that Joan Crawford is trying to present herself as I'm very proud of my daughter. Turn on the television. I can't believe you. It's 5 minutes late. Let's watch my daughter on television as she's a soap opera star. And then she sits there and watches and you can tell that she's judging her. She's judging. Secretly competing still against her daughter. Yikes.
Yeah, and during this time, Joan had become like the soft drink queen of Hollywood, and that all fell apart because they voted her out and was like, "You're no longer on the board, Miss Thing." And
Oh my God.
we've retired you, basically. And honey, that's where that dialogue comes in, honey. There's another famous line. I fought worse monsters than you for years in Hollywood. Don't fuck with me, fellas! Oh!
Amazing. I love this scene because it shows how powerful this woman was when she walks into an all men dominated boardroom.
Yeah.
They all just kind of like brush her off as like, oh, you were just the wife of. No, bitch. She's like, she was surviving. She had to marry this man. He was not a movie star like all of her other. He was not handsome like all of her other uncles.
Mm-mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
She used her stardom to advance the company of Pepsi. I was actually thinking, like, would Pepsi be what Pepsi is now if it wasn't for Joan Crawford back in the...
I mean, back in the day, I mean, it probably would be, but still.
It probably would have been, maybe it could have been bigger. Who knows?
But who knows?
The shadiest thing that Joan did to her daughter, because, you know, she's always been competing against her.
Yeah.
The daughter got ill,
Mm-hmm.
and Joan Crawford ended up filling in for the role of Christina Crawford is her mother, Joan Crawford.
Yeah, that works.
Christina's laid up in the hospital bed, and she's like watching. She's like, but the character's supposed to be 28 years old. I actually looked it up online. I looked it up on Google because I didn't believe that this was an actual thing.
Did it really happen?
Yeah, girl, pull up the photo. Here's a picture of Joan Crawford. Where's my phone? Okay, there's a photo of Joan Crawford, old as hell, in the same outfit from her as the movie.
Oh my! Oh, there it is.
You find it?
Yep. There it is. I see. Oh my God. That she looked like a school teacher. How is she supposed to be 28? Girl, shit, like an old ass school teacher at that. Wow.
Christina is laid up in this hospital bed, and she's just like, I cannot believe my mother. I mean, but she's spent an entire lifetime of this, so I feel like
nothing is surprising from my standpoint. Like, your mother is touched, honey. She's completely off kilter. Oh, poor thing.
But then at least the bitch dies at the end.
Well, you know.
Then she does her last bit of like, fuck you to Christina.
She has the last word still. Like, she still has the last word all the way, even in the afterlife. She's dead and gone and still had the last word in the last say, which I completely was like, what a fucking bitch. Oh my God, how hateful can you be?
She left all the children that she adopted out of her will.
Like, what was the point then?
Like, yeah, right? Like, she made this empire for herself.
For
you know?
what?
Hollywood royalty, share owner of Pepsi Cola, all of the mansions and whatever, and nothing was left to the children. Well, Christina says at the very end, she says, when her brother says she gets the last word, Christina says, does she?
Does she?
Does she?
And clearly not, because Christina wrote this book, baby, and she had the last word, honey. How about that?
Turned it into this movie. This is how I know Joan Crawford, from this film.
Damn. Well, yeah, because all her shit was like way before our time.
Yes.
But like, to know that still to this day, the one film that Faye Dunaway will not speak of is Mommie Dearest. She has really like try to disconnect and disassociate herself with this film throughout the years, through interviews I've watched over the time, and she will not touch it with a 10-foot pole, honey. She just, I guess it wasn't a great look for her, for Hollywood, because she became Joan Crawford and no one wanted to book her. So she kind of like went through.
She got the
recourse, of being
people,
Joan Crawford, of being hating.
She did such a good job is that people actually thought that she was Joan Crawford.
They actually hated her.
How dare you beat your children? No, that was a role I was playing. I just did it really, really, really well. I overacted it really, really well.
A little too well. Too on the nose. So.
But I love this movie.
I do too. I love it.
What about your tops and your chops of this particular film, Latrice? What is your top moment of Mommie Dearest?
My top moments was when Christina finally stood up and was just like, I am not one of your fans. I'm your freaking daughter, man. Like, that was like, she wanted to make sure you understood the difference, because she knew the difference. Her mother, not so much. So my top moment is like when Christina finally stood up, even though she got her ass kicked and she was winding up on the floor choking, gasping for air, it still was a moment that she stood up to her mom, and I loved it.
It's an iconic moment. So my top is the other iconic moment. No wire hangers. That whole scene from like the mom going through the closet and then seeing the one hanger. Just everything about it, like the fact that she had like this green face mask on so she looked like a monster. There was just so much. There was so much going on. That scene is like so, and then ending with them crying while cleaning the floor, and then Christopher even asking like, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "No, no. If she finds out, she'll kill us. She'll kill us."
Right. Go strap yourself back in. See, here we go.
Good. What about your chop?
My chop moment. My chop is her not leaving them anything. Like your evil ass put these kids through hell. The least you could have done was left them a little something for their troubles. Bitch, they dealt with you. You didn't deal with them. They had to put up with your ass. But yeah, so the chop was like her fucking over her kids even more after she was dead. Like, that was fucked up. Like, you horrible bitch. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just she just is like the evil villain in every
so
Disney
horrible.
Movie ever.
She is. She's 101 Dalmatians, honey. She's like,
right?
She's Cruella.
She is evil. She is so evil. Those poor kids.
Yeah.
My chop. I think this movie is freaking perfect. So there's like nothing that I hate about this movie. But I was thinking about it. I was like, what is my chop of this movie? Here's my chop. All of Christina's wigs.
They were bad. Ooh, they were like, you know what it was? Like, it was like new to like doing wigs for theater, and those were the wigs that they shipped over. But it was like
all of Faye Dunaway's wigs looked fantastic.
Oh, they were done.
But what was with Christina's wigs? Is that short little like blonde
plastic?
Wig?
It looked so plastic. I think I got one like that still.
Yeah, you use it, you fold it inside out and use it as a bump.
As a bump up.
You put the other wig on top of it. It's all matted. All of her wigs looked like they were just matted. I don't know what.
Just out the box. Straight out the box.
Yeah. That's my chop. Get us some better wigs. Come on.
Get her some better wigs. Oh well.
I guess Joan Crawford didn't give her wigs either. That's the real thing.
She said, "You will not have better wigs than me." Oh my God, what a fun movie. I've enjoyed recapping it with you. I hope you guys all got your lives and were feeling your Joan Crawford fantasies and reciting all the iconic lines, because there are so many. But that is it for this week. And we'll be back on Thursday for our all audio only episode.
Yes. And next Tuesday, we will continue our movie club. And we are going to be watching Last Holiday starring Queen Latifah. This is one of my favorite movies ever. So I can't wait to watch it again.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So make sure you subscribe to our show and you can rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. We have new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.
And you can also send us an email at latricemanila@gmail.com and we might read your email online, on the show. But thanks for listening.
You can follow us at Latrice Royale and at Manila Luzon.
And we'll see you next week to find out
who or what gets the chop. The Chop is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All names, pictures, and media clips are registered trademarks and or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders.
Forever Dog.
The Chop is produced by Forever Dog and MOGULS of Media.
Mom.
Hosted by Latrice Royale and Manila Luzon.
Produced by Big Dipper.
Mixed and mastered by Will Pitts.
Executive produced by Willem Belli,
Alaska Thunderfuck.
Brett Boehm,
Joe Cilio.
and Alex Ramsey.
Our theme song is The Chop by Manila Luzon and Latrice Royale.